Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Coder Conversations. If you want to catch up with us, visit us at www.coderconvos.com. I'm your host, Kevin, and I'm here with Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian Russick, professional drummer, drum teacher based out of Suffolk County, Long Island, New York. You can find me on the web at brianrussick.com.
You're awesome, man. Yeah, for today's show, I kind of wanted to get into something that we've been talking about for the past few episodes, and it's pretty much about the digital lifestyle, still in your experience, still in the richness of life. I mean, with computers, they're very useful tools, very helpful. Modern society wouldn't be possible without them, but you have to use them as a tool. You can't allow them to use you.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think back to when I was younger and cell phones were, first become prevalent. You started to see them around. Um, I was always the one to, leave the cell phone at home, leave the cell phone in my room, on silent and just go about my day and then like check it, randomly or check it at night only. And I remember my sister being like, "Wow, like how do you not be on your phone all the time?" Because most people, just in general, most people are on their phone all day long. And she's like, "How do you like? Where does your control or your focus come from?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not so sure where it comes from, but I know that there is focus there, and it's intentional. It's that okay? I'm not gonna let this computer, which phones are computers now. I'm not gonna let this computer like handle my life and dictate my life."
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have digital addiction. We don't talk about it, but it is what it is. Like if they were to go without a phone or a computer for a few weeks, they will go crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bigger problem that we don't really talk about because even me, I realize like a lot of my life has just passed by, and I don't even really. When I think about it, what did I do with my life? Like I'm just sitting in front of a computer, maybe playing a game or in a chat room, but it's not a memorable experience.
It's not, yeah, it's not a rich memory.
Exactly. I think we as humans we're meant to like experience and be outside. Like even me riding a bike or a motorcycle, you can feel the wind against your skin. You feel like the sun beaming down on you, different smells, like just a rich sensory experience, and it's ingrained in your memory. Whereas like with computers and video games, you might remember a scene from the video game, but it's not something that you're actually like experiencing live and in 3D.
Right. And I know we talk about it a lot, but when we were growing up, I'm 38, I think you're 40. We're growing up, you go outside on a Saturday or a Sunday and like everyone's out. They're out on bikes, they're out on rollerblades, scooters, skateboards, like all kinds of stuff. And are they on their cell phone? No, they're actually, well, we didn't have cell phones. So, we weren't out there with our cell phones. Now, the kids that are outside probably have their cell phone on them and are probably on it half the time that they're even outside, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, even when they're at social events, like most people are on their phones. Like, okay, they're at a restaurant, they're looking down at their phone. They're
Yeah.
at a lounge, they're looking at their phone. It's like we're not living in the moment. We're kind of like diving into this digital world to escape the moment.
And then you have AI, which I feel like kind of multiplies the toxicity of, social media and just the way that like you're talking about this digital addiction that people have. We don't really talk about it. We don't talk about it like benzo addiction or, opiate addiction. That, we would look at that and say, "Oh, well that's like," or alcohol, we look at those and say, "Oh, those are serious. Like those need to be maintained." But other stuff like computers, you don't really hear people talking about them in that way.
Yeah, and realistically, we have to talk about it in that way because a lot of people they're getting anxiety, they're getting social, like just this social disconnect because they're not dealing with other humans on a face to face manner. They're kind of dealing through them through the lens of technology. And when they're actually in front of a human being, it's hard for them to interact.
Yeah, I think what kind of happens is that, okay, the kid's outside, but he's on his phone. And then the kid's inside and he's on his tablet. The kid's in school, he, taking out his cell phone every 5 minutes, when the teacher's not looking or whatever. So it's always phone, 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 phone. When do you get a break? When do you get a break? It's like my sister said to me, like, how do you just leave your phone on silent and like go about your day? I'm like, the reason, not that it's profound, but at the time I was just like, I can see the future. I can see what's going to happen to people with this technology. So I'm going to kind of like, express drive this situation and like just not use my phone that much. And, till this day, I always have my phone on silent. I mean, I definitely play games on it. I'm not going to lie, but I don't use it nearly as much as probably like the average like 10-year-old does.
Yeah, and kind of going to the earlier point, I feel like even when we are in the midst of other people, we're only like 50% live and then 50% in the digital world. Like we're sitting at a restaurant, we're thinking about that phone, even if we're not looking at it, we're wondering, oh, did anybody hit me up? Did anybody like my post? Like I think a lot of
See,
people,
yeah.
they're getting anxiety because they're thinking about, oh, am I missing an important message? Like they're never just in the moment. It's always what is happening in the digital world.
Yeah, and I think that's the digital addiction. That's like the digital opiate, like we don't talk about it, we don't look at it, but it's there. And it's not just with kids, it's with adults too. Like, we're at fault too for being on our phones all the time. Like my sister's husband, I think he's around 40, not sure, but he's on his phone a lot. Now he does have a kid, so he has to watch the kid pretty closely because she's 2 and she runs all over the place. But outside of that, like if I see him in a car, he's on his phone. And that's fine. That's fine, but it's like I've realized people are really addicted. They can't, even take a car ride and conversate without the cell phone.
Yeah, I feel like, we're constantly pumping some sort of information into our brains from a digital source. Like you mentioned, even when we're writing, we need to listen to some music. We need to have a podcast going on in the background. We're rarely ever just in silence and reflecting on our own thoughts. It's always like a digital device pumping some form of entertainment to us.
Yeah, or in like the case I'm talking about, like, okay, I'm in a car, I'm driving, I'm in a car with my wife's husband, and we're not that I know him really well, but we're not really talking, not there's like no not even like small talk. He's just on his phone. And so like I don't say anything because I don't want to bother him. I don't know what he's doing on his phone. Like I don't know if he's doing work or a game or talking to a girl. I mean, you just don't know what he's doing. But just the fact, like, okay, we get in the car and then you jump on your phone immediately and you're on your phone the whole 30-minute drive. Like to me, that that's an issue. That's a real addiction because you think about when we were younger and we're taking car rides, maybe if it was a long ride, you'd bring like your Walkman, your cassette Walkman and your headphones, and you listen to music on the way. Or maybe you had Game Boy. You might bring some headphones, play with Game Boy, Tetris, whatever, Battle Toads. But now everything has changed from when we were younger. Everything has changed. It's a new normal to be obsessed with your phone. It's the new normal to always be on your phone. But, like, is that really normal? To me, it feels kind of foreign and, like, unwanted. Like, it's like an unwanted present.
Yeah, I think we're exchanging comfort. Well, we're actually exchanging rich experiences for comfort, kind of like back in the day, quote unquote, you might have like your grandma spend hours cooking a dish, but now we just go to McDonald's. Like it's so much more convenient and quick to hit up fast food, but all of the richness, all of the flavors, they're not there. And that's kind of like what we're experiencing now. Like, okay, it's so comfortable to get off work, come home, turn on a device, or just scroll TikTok for hours, watch videos for hours. But when you look back, it's like, like
What have I been doing?
yeah,
Yeah.
what have I been doing?
What have I been doing? Just scrolling through Reddit. I know I'm I'm someone that, does definitely scroll on Reddit, but I break it up. Like, I might wait until, 7 o'clock to grab my phone and take a look at Reddit, see if anyone commented on like comments that I've left or posts that I've made. Kind of like Instagram. Like you're checking to see if there's, anyone's reaching out to you or anyone's hitting you up or liking you or whatever. It's the same kind of thing with Reddit, but I limit it. I'll be on there for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Like I'm not on there for an hour. I'm not on there for 3 hours. But we got kids playing, and that's another thing. Playing video games. You got kids playing video games from like 5 o'clock at night to 2 in the morning.
Right.
So that's kind of another piece of the problem is video games. Not that video games are bad, but the way that people play them, the way that people are addicted to video games, I feel is cause for concern.
Well, I mean, like a lot of these video game companies, they intentionally engineer the video game to make it more addictive, to make you want to keep playing and playing and playing, or spend more money buying skins. So it's kind of like a
Right.
psychological experiment. And interestingly enough, on Reddit, the University of Zurich, they unleashed a bunch of AI bots to manipulate commenters. So the thing is online you don't know who's on the other side, and now it's not even necessarily human. So just this digital, just being jacked into the system, you may not even be interacting with a human. Like it's like our humanity is being spread further and further apart the more people get jacked into the system. So
Yeah, that's interesting you say that about Reddit because yeah, you have no idea cuz Reddit is all anonymous. You have no idea who anyone is. You know their handle, but that's about all you know about the person. And okay, they like this content, they commented on this post, whatever. Like that's the history you have on them, but you don't really know like what is this person like? What are their habits? Like for me, I try to be pretty casual, pretty chill when it comes to the phone or computer or video games. I keep it to a minimum purposely because I don't want to let technology dictate my life. I don't want to let a computer, a tablet, a cell phone like literally hijack my life to the point where, it's like a opiate addiction. You're thinking, you don't have the phone, it's in your room. You're thinking about, oh, wait, did I get a like on Instagram? Did someone hit me up with a comment on TikTok? Stuff like that. And it's like, that's toxic. That type of relationship to technology is toxic. And I feel like it's got to go. But how do you stop people from being on their phone all day, every day? I feel that's the larger question.
I mean, realistically, I don't think you can stop them. They just have to make the choice to stop. I think, the controllers of society or whatever you want to call them, they want people to be online because they can inject whatever thinking they want into people now, especially using bots and, using algorithms to push certain kinds of content. Like, if you just watching the news, watching different things on YouTube, you would think there's some kind of race war, gender war, nonstop conflict going on outside. But when you actually step outside, most people are just pretty cool. It's pretty chill out.
Yeah.
But you come online and you think, it's the apocalypse. So, there's the online world and then there's real life. And a lot of times they're completely different. So it makes you wonder who's pushing the ideology online? What do they want to paint in your head? And is it healthy for you to accept that?
Yeah, it makes me think of that guy who used to be really big on YouTube, Alex Jones. He's the type to get really excited, really paranoid. Kind of get his listeners to be paranoid as well, and selling products for like the end of the world type of stuff. Oh, get um, I don't know, cans of this, cans of that. Just to for he's kind of like predicting a race war, or is predicting like a civil war in the country, but that hasn't happened, so it's just kind of, I guess you will call it fear mongering.
Yeah, you listen to all of that kind of too much of that kind of stuff, and you're just gonna be a nervous wreck. And then you start thinking that you see this around the corner, but you actually go outside and meet people, and nobody's bothering you. So it's like, do we need to be so informed? That's the question. Like, it's good to be informed, but is there such a thing as too informed? I think there is, because who's to say the information you're being fed with is even the right information, and it could be pushing you in a really negative direction.
Right, because you're getting information in real time, which is unique to this period in our lives. Because you think about it, okay, when we were kids, yeah, we had internet, but it was slow. It was like 28K, 56K modems. You couldn't be on the phone while you're on the internet, or kick you off or whatever. Someone picks the phone up. So it was, we were limited in what we could do, because of course our mom and dad are not going to let us be on online on AOL like all night, because they got to use the phone. Like my dad ran a business, he needed to use the phone. So I think in that way we always did limit the screen time. Just, it was kind of a coincidence, but it's a good coincidence. So we did limit the screen time, so we were never on AOL for like 5, 6 hours straight. Maybe we're on there for like 45 minutes or an hour. Um, but it's really changed since then. Now everything's fast, fiber optic, just faster and faster and faster connections. And it just allows people to grab that data in real time. But yeah, how do you know if it's real? How do you know if it's not? Because they got to fact check stuff. But if you have five different newspapers all releasing the same story at the same time, like, what's to say that that's real?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're not experiencing it or seeing it firsthand, you're just pretty much relying on the reporter to tell you the truth. And as we know, like with most of these corporations, it's not necessarily their first job to tell you the truth. Is to give you a certain perception that they find desirable, that's profitable to them. So, we're receiving a lot of information, but how much of it is true? How much of it is valid? That's the real question.
That's the thing. People, they want to take advantage. They want to take advantage of this technology. And it brings up the topic that we've discussed before, Cambridge Analytica, that kind of like corrupt data science company based out of England. Basically, they, for anyone that's never heard of Cambridge Analytica, they were a data science company that was influencing elections all over the world. And funny enough, in their own country of England, they influenced Brexit to pass. And the way they did this was by buying buying Facebook ads to push the swing voters in the direction of, okay, let's exit, let's pass Brexit. So this company was, manipulating people specifically because they knew what their likes were, what their hobbies were. It's all those data points. We give them away online, but they're really valuable. And there's a great documentary on it. It's called The Great Hack. It's on Netflix if you guys want to check it out. But it's I just feel like that is so shady that, it made me, after watching that documentary, I closed down my Facebook. I was like, I deleted everything on my Facebook, took my picture down, took all my pictures down, and just left it as like a profile. So if I want to, message like a family member or, long lost cousin, like I could do that still from Facebook. But I took all my data down because I realized there's companies like Cambridge Analytica who are just, compiling lists of data points on us. Like, oh, he likes to go here for lunch. He likes to wear these type of shirts. Like, and once they have this on you, they could easily sell it back to you in way of ads.
Yeah, I mean, there was recently a story that says like Apple, they're embracing the technology that lets people control their iPhones and different things like that with brain signals. So, I mean, if you use your brain signal to control these devices, who's to say the reverse is not possible? Like these devices can alter your brain signals to push you to act in a certain way. Uh,
Right. Yeah. Like the other way, it would go that, okay, these brain signals that you're getting now are from this device, and this device is not have your best intentions. This device is out there to make money. It's a product. They're trying to push it. Like VR. We've talked about this before. Virtual reality. They keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and it's never. I mean, finally, it's kind of being adopted, but it took a long time for that to happen. And it's just interesting. Like, why does the VR keep getting pushed? Is there another agenda with this virtual reality technology?
I feel like the VR that really takes you out of this world, and now you're fully immersed in this other world, and all kinds of data can be, just procured and analyzed. Like, okay, it's tracking your eyes. What are you looking at? What are you reaching towards with your hands? What are you? How are you interacting in this or that scenario? Like, it's building an extremely powerful data profile on you, and the more data someone has on you, the greater they have the ability to control your actions. So, like you mentioned, even with your Facebook, like you put all these pictures and all of this other stuff up there, they're probably taking all of that and feeding it to an artificial intelligence. Like, who knows what they're doing? Like, 'cause
Yeah,
you know that it says like tag your friends or whatever, and then
right.
all of a sudden it knows who your friends are or it knows who you are because somebody tagged you.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem. And yeah, I scraped everything off of my Facebook after watching that documentary, The Gray Hack, because I was like, okay, maybe they've already scraped all my data. Maybe they've gotten all my data already off of Facebook. But I said to myself, if not, I'm not about to let another company, because I think Cambridge Analytica went out of business. But I'm sure there's other companies like that in the U.S. and other countries that are influencing actions, by way of ads or banners, different things like this. So it's definitely, for me, it's concerning, because if they have all this data, like I'm saying, they could sell you anything. They could push you in any direction because they know you. They know you inside and out, from your Facebook, from your Reddit, from your Twitter, from Instagram. They have all this data on you all of a sudden, and it can be weaponized.
Yeah, because once it's recorded in a database somewhere, the likelihood that it's actually deleted, even when you so-called scrub it, is very low. It's just not visible to you, but it's probably still sitting in a database somewhere. So everything you say, all these pictures you put up, all of this is recorded and somewhere. So who
Yeah,
knows when it'll be, when it'll reemerge and be used against you. So in a way, I'm kind of thinking like, you know, stay away from these devices for a little bit, get outside, interact with people. Like, you have to be intentional about interacting with people, or else, you'll fall into that comfort zone of, okay, I'm gonna just sit down and scroll TikTok all day.
right, and they have that thing, I don't know, if you ever heard of it, it's called the Wayback Machine.
Yeah. Yep.
And it basically lets you, let's say you had, like Angel Fire or whatever kind of page back in the day. I used to have like game websites like Mech Warrior 2 when I was a kid, just because like you form like clans in the groups. So it's maybe you got like 20 guys on your team. So I made a website for that team. And if I wanted to see that, I can go on the Wayback Machine, put in the URL, and load it up as if I was just loading it up now. So yeah, I think if it's on the internet, it exists there for forever, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if that's like consumer grade technology, like that we can utilize, I mean, I would imagine governments have something way more powerful. That's tying all of our actions to us. So, there's that kind of danger there that exists. Imagine if our government does turn into a dictatorship and they have access to all of the data. They can use AI to instantly pinpoint like what kind of political beliefs we have, and just put us on a list. I mean, it's happened throughout history. So, um, the thing is, technology is so comfortable. We don't think about the deeper ramifications of feeding this giant machine all of our data.
Yeah, it's I mean, to me it's troubling. To me, like I said, I was a kid. I got my first cell phone at, oh, I don't know. I was probably in high school, but that cell phone was like a specialty cell phone. That was only for use if I miss my bus and I need a ride or whatever. Okay, I could flip open the phone, turn it on, make like a 1 minute call, because that was expensive. Every minute you were charged for using cell phones back in the day. And then I probably got my first phone like just for me, maybe at 18 or 19. And, I saw the writing on the wall. I saw that this is really addicting. Especially I had like a Palm Pilot. So Palm Pilot, basically like a computer, kind of, if you never heard of Palm Pilot, it kind of predated the iPhone. Used to be really popular for business people to use. It's got a stylus, and it was pretty cool. But like anything else, all things must change. All things do change, and I think we have to figure out now, how do we approach this? How do we attack this addiction that has wrapped up millions, if not billions, of people? And I don't really know the answer to that question. I mean, that's a question I'm leaving to the listeners right now. It's like, what can be done, you know?
I mean, I feel like what can be done is just putting the device down and going outside, interacting with people. That has to be a personal choice, because if it's left up to the government or corporations, they're going to encourage you to get involved deeper and deeper into these devices, because it gives them an immense amount of control over you. Whether pushing products or influencing you to think a certain way. So you just have to be intentional about saying like, hey, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna make sure I, go walk around the block, or I go talk to my neighbor. Like, if you don't be intentional about it, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I do. Like I'll plan out, okay, I'm gonna play, my favorite game on the phone at this time, and I'm gonna be on the computer at this time, and limit the hours that I'm in front of screens in general, because my vision starts getting blurry after a while, and then that'll just kind of give you a headache trying to read blurry text. So I just try to limit my use as much as possible. I would still say, even with limiting my use, I'd still say I'm on the phone for a couple of hours every day. Which I don't know how healthy that is, but it's part of the addiction. It's like a low grade addiction. The people that are really wired in, they got to be on it 24 hours a day.
Right, man. But yeah, man, I think that's a good note to end this one on. Like my final thought. Yeah, just be intentional about getting outside, connecting with people, because you don't really want to look back on your life and just come to the conclusion like, hey, I've not really done anything. I haven't experienced anything. Like me, I just took a motorcycle course, and me taking that, just meeting people, seeing their fears, seeing their joys of passing the course. Like that's a level of richness that you can't get just living in the digital world. What about you? What are your final thoughts?
Well, I guess I'd just like to, I look at what I do. I'm a drum teacher, so I get a lot of joy out of teaching. A real teacher gets joy from their students. And I think that's really important. And more people should look for joy and happiness in their lives and realize, yes, we have all this technology, but is it really making us happy? Is it really bringing us closer to some kind of truth? Is it bringing us closer to God? Definitely not. So we have to be careful how we're using these things, limit screen time. I mean, I need to do this as well. Really, everyone needs to do it. Everyone needs to start limiting the screen time and getting out of the house. Yeah, like you said, take a walk, go talk to your neighbor, whatever. Just switch up the schedule.
Absolutely. And, we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.
Thanks, guys.